Hello everybody, and today we are going to do an analysis of the European languages, and we're going to talk about specifically the concept or idea of teen, right? Like when we say as English speakers, when we say teen, we specifically mean anything between 13 and 19. Specifically when you're talking about people, right? Like when you're saying that that person is a teen, you mean that their ages is between 13 and 19. Um, as you can imagine, this attribute doesn't exist in all other languages, though there is a couple of other languages where it does exist. As you'll see, the common trend is that it is mostly found in Germanic languages, so I am tempted to say that it is a Germanic attribute. The idea of, teen representing 13 and 19 is based in the Germanic language. I don't know if that's true. That might not be the case, but considering how strong the correlation is, that is what I'm willing to believe until proven otherwise. So, let's get right into the analysis. So for English, we have simply the numbers 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, right? Simple enough. The important thing to keep in mind is that 10 is not the same as the teen suffix. Also, it's pretty important that you understand what a suffix and a prefix is. I'd imagine that if you're watching this video, you know what a suffix and a prefix is, and that you understand that an affix is either a suffix or a prefix. But yeah, it's pretty important that you do understand what that is. So, the teen suffix, which I feel like should have a dash right here, the teen suffix isn't pronounced or spelled the same way as the number 10, which in some languages that is the case. In English that is not the case. Teen and 10 are spelled and pronounced differently and represent different things. And specifically, all of these numbers from 13 to 19, all of them are just a representation of that number minus 10 followed by teen to represent that it's 10. So for example, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, that's just 8 plus 10, 18, right? Obviously that doesn't apply to 13 and 15, right? 15 minus 10 isn't fifth, but that's just how English is. I don't know how that might be the case for other languages, except for German. I do know German pretty well. And for all of these languages, by the way, it's important to remember that I looked all of this up on Google Translate. Other than Russian, French, German, and English, I don't know any of the numbers from 10 to 20. So I just looked it up on Google Translate and saw what it was, and this is the results I got. So if there's any typos, if there's any incorrect information, you can blame Google Translate, because I don't know any of these languages. Anyways, very similarly, we have Norwegian, Danish, Swedish, and Frisian, all also Germanic languages. Norwegian, Danish, and Swedish all being extremely similar, as you can see here. They're all almost exactly the same, although the pronunciation is probably obviously pretty different, but spelling-wise, it's almost all exactly the same between Norwegian, Danish, and Swedish, as is to be expected. And for Frisian, relatively similar, but obviously quite different. But the important thing that you need to keep in mind is that we have 10 right here, but we have 11 and 12, which are both their distinct numbers, right? They don't have a teen suffix anywhere. But then all of the rest of the numbers up until 19, from 13 to 19, they all have this 10, suffix, right? Though the number for 10 isn't 10. It's, T or TO. Like I said, I don't know these languages, so I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. But, yeah, none of these are the exact same. None of these suffixes are the exact same. And that's the same thing here with Frisian, where we have tien, or whatever that's supposed to be, and then we have tritien, and it goes all the way down to whatever that's supposed to be. And you see the same exact trend where we have 11 and 12, they're distinct numbers. 13 and 19, they all have this 10 suffix, but the number 10 isn't the same as the 10 suffix. Though, for German and Dutch and Luxembourgish, also all Germanic languages, so far we've only been talking about Germanic languages. As you can see, that isn't really the case. For German, Dutch, and Luxembourgish, the number 10 is the exact same as the suffix for 10, or teen, I should specifically say. So we have 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, all of these, right? And all of these are simply just, 13, for example, is literally just 310. It's not like English where if you say 310, those are two different numbers. It's just 310 together. And that's pretty much the case for all of these, with really the only exceptions being for Czech, which is missing the S, and for Sieben, which is missing the EN. But other than that, we have Sieben, 18, 19, 20. All of these are basically the same as English, but once again, 10 is the same. And it's the exact same thing for Dutch here. We have like 11, 12 distinct numbers. 13 and 19 all have this 10 suffix, and it's spelled the exact same. They all end with T-I-E-N. And then obviously 20 is its own distinct number. Same exact thing for Luxembourgish. 11, 12 distinct numbers. All the rest of them end with this teen or 10, which is this teen suffix. So yeah, that's all of that. That's fine and dandy. And that's pretty much it in terms of teen suffixes that the 10 teen suffixes to represent the numbers 13 and 19. That's pretty much it for all of the European languages. Now, I guess, maybe obviously there's like Afrikaans and like derivatives of other like Germanic languages, but as far as languages that are spoken in Europe, I think these are all the ones that are available on Google Translate. Like I said, I didn't include Afrikaans, but that's okay. But like I says right here, step outside the Germanic languages, you'll see that concept doesn't hold up at all. It is almost exclusively a Germanic languages concept, though it might have influences in other regions. Case in point, Greek. Greek is easily the most similar, right? Because Greek at least holds up this 10-teen concept of 13 and 19. The only difference being that instead of it being a suffix, like it is in the Germanic languages, it is a prefix. So we have deka or deka. I don't speak Greek. I don't know how to pronounce it. And even this right here, right? This technically 12 has a suffix of 10 in it because it's dodeka. Kind of like how we have dodecahedron, right? That's where it comes from. But it technically has 10 in it. But I almost don't really include that because it only exists for one number. But more notably, 13 and 19, they all start with deca, right? Decatria, decatessera, decapenta. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing this wrong. Like I said, I don't speak Greek. But the idea is that they all start with this deca prefix. And I do understand that there's the accent here, which might change the way that you pronounce it, but for all intents and purposes, it's the same, really. It's with some accents, you can probably even pronounce it the same, who knows. But yeah, other than that, that's pretty much it in terms of any languages in Europe understanding the teen concept, right? Moving on to other language groups. First off, we have the Romantic languages. For Spanish, Portuguese, and Galician, there is a suffix for numbers between 11 and 15, but a prefix for numbers between 16 and 19, which is usually some variant of the number 10, followed by the second digit number, which in one way you could kind of consider that as, you know how in English we have 11 and 12? Those are distinct numbers, that don't have any 10 or teen prefix or suffix. You can kind of consider that to be an extent of that. Like, instead of it just being 11 and 12, it also goes to 13, 14, and 15. Although all of these just so happen to have the same suffix. So, for example, let's go into an example for Spanish right here, right? We have this CE suffix for all the way from 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So all of these numbers end with CE at the end. And then when you get to 16 through 19, they all start with a 10 suffix, or a variant of 10, because we have diez, and this is dieci. Like I said, I don't really speak Spanish. But the point is that this is like 10, 6. This is 10, 7, 10, 8, 10, 9, right? It is literally just the 10 and then the second digit number. Same exact applies to Portuguese. All of these have a Z, Zed, a ZE, sorry, suffix all the way up until 15. Then you go to 16 and 19, and it's just 10 and then the number. And as you can see, same exact thing with Galician. Galician, Portuguese, very, very similar languages, so I've heard. But yeah, that a relatively interesting concept is that it goes from 11 to 15 and then 16 to 19. French, Italian, and Catalan are very similar, but they go a different direction with it. Instead of it going from 11 to 15 and then 16 to 19, this one goes from 11 to 16 and 17 to 19. So, for example, we have, also this is supposed to be, this is, the order is wrong here. We have, it's Italian, then French, then Catalan. Right here we have dieci, right? I'm just gonna say it like that because I don't know Italian. And then we just have undici, dodici, and it goes all the way up until 16, right? So as I said, for Spanish, Portuguese, and Galician, it went all the way up to 15. But for these three languages in particular, it goes all the way up to 16, where 16 is its own distinct number that has a suffix that ends. In this case, it just so happens to sound very similar to 10, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. It's just a suffix that is the same suffix that applies from the numbers 11 to 15. It is also applied to 16. And then same exact deal from 17 to 19. It has 10 and then the number. But like I said, it's the same exact deal. Same here for French, right? Zed or Ze goes all the way up into 16, and then it's just 10-7, 10-8, 10-9. And then same exact thing for Catalan, same exact ZE suffix. There we go. So that is the vast majority of the Romance languages, or at least especially all the ones that are available in Google Translate. One exception being Romanian. But Romania is actually unique in this aspect. It borrows influence from the Slavic languages for its numbers. So instead of the romantic, 11 to 15 or 11 to 16, it has a whole completely different attribute, which we're going to get to in just a second. For Slavic languages, they go a very interesting direction with it. For the most part, all of the numbers between 11 and 20, or 11 and 19, it depends on the languages, they have this teen suffix. Sometimes the teen suffix is obviously reminiscent of the word 10, and sometimes it's not at all similar to the word 10. And whether or not it's the suffix teen is similar to the word 10, it varies from language to language, and I'll get to that in just a second. As for the ones that do have it, hold on, excuse me. As for the ones that have it completely different, we have the Eastern Slavic languages, like Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian, as well as Macedonian, which is not an Eastern Slavic language, but it has the exact same attributes, where the word ten is vastly different from the teen prefix. So as you can see here, we have disyat, and then we have odnatsat, dvenatsat, trinatsat, shetirnatsat. I don't know. I know shetire. I'm not like really good at pronouncing Russian. I do know it relatively well. I can read it. I can read the Russian script, and I can read words and relatively understand it. But I'm not perfect at pronouncing it because I haven't really spoke to any Russians really. I just kind of taught myself. But anyways, Pyatnatsot, and then although the point is that as you can see, all of these end with atsat, and that's going to be very similar to all of the other ones, as you'll see in a minute. But yeah, this, it's 11 all the way up to 20. They all end with atsat. And 10, which is disyat, or disyat, I don't know how to pronounce it. As you can tell, disyat, not at all similar to atsat. It's got the AT at the end, but it's not the same. And that's the same thing here with Ukrainian. Almost the exact same deal. And obviously, as you have noticed, this is all like the romanticized version, or the transliterated version, as in I put it into the Latin alphabet. That way it's easier for viewers to read, because viewers wouldn't very well easily be able to distinguish Cyrillic or Greek characters, I imagine. Though I am able to read Cyrillic, the viewers very likely wouldn't. But like I said, same exact deal for Ukrainian, the same exact deal for Belarusian, although instead of it being atsat, it's achach. I don't know. I have no idea how to pronounce ACCAC, but the point is that they all have the same ACCA, chi, or a ch, or whatever. I don't really know what this letter is. I think it's like a ch sound, like a soft ch sound. They're all the achach or akach, whatever. It's not the same as gishayach or gishach. But it does apply from 11 to 20. Same here. Deset, edineset, dvaneset, and it's just all the same. So, going back to Romanian, as I was mentioning earlier, despite it not being a Slavic language, it is similar to the Eastern Slavic languages in this whole ream. It's almost exactly the same, except it goes even a step further, because the teen suffix is actually the same as the word for 10, which is, kind of the way they did it with, like, German and those languages, right? But the point is that, as you can see, I don't know how to pronounce it. Zevche? I have no clue. The point is, this ZECE is the word for 10, and it is the suffix for all of these words, for all of them, from 10 through 20. All of them end with like ZECE, however you pronounce it, which I think is very interesting. So, it doesn't have the idea where, with other Romanian or Romantic languages where it's like 11 to 15 or whatever, it's just all Slavic influence, basically, except it goes even a step further than Russian. Now, stepping away from, as we stepped away from Slavic languages, let's step even further away from Slavic languages for a second. We have Albanian, Armenian, Hungarian. These are all not Slavic languages, but considering their proximity to other countries that speak Slavic languages, it's very likely that there's been some influence there. And they have the same attributes as Romanian, with the only difference being that 20 doesn't have the same suffix as the other numbers, which is going to be something we're going to be seeing in a little bit. But as you can see here, we have 10, which is its own distinct number. And then for Albanian, it is a suffix, but for Armenian and Hungarian, it is a prefix. So here we have this I'm just gonna call it jete because I don't know Albanian, but in order to show you, I'm just gonna call it jete. Um, all of these end with this jete suffix, and I know that's not how you pronounce it, but just roll with it. But number 20 is not. Number 20 does not have this suffix. But the number 10 is the same as the suffix. Same with Armenian, where we have this tas, and then all of the words here, they start with tas. Whoops. All these words here, all the way from 10 to 20, or 11 to 28, or 11 to 19. Sorry, they all start with tas, and then 20 is its own individual number. And then we have Hungarian, which starts with ts or tis or whatever, and all of these from 11 to 19, they start with the same tis. In fact, all of them start with tizen, but it does have tis in it, so whatever. It applies. It does have that prefix in it, even though it is also there's an en at the end of all of the ones. And I do understand, as I mentioned here, that this word for 10 here, this has an accent, but really it's close enough. I'm just gonna roll with it. I don't care. The point is, it's almost virtually the exact same. We just have hus or whatever. I think it's SZ. I think that's S sound in Hungarian, whereas in Polish it's S. SC is a sh. But yeah. Latvian, almost the same, except 10 is very similar to the 11 through 19 suffix, but not exactly the same. And 20 has the word for 10 in its entirety as part of the suffix. Sorry, as is the suffix. It's not part of the suffix, it is the suffix. So right here we have a desmit, or desmit, however you pronounce it. And you have all of these words here that end with dsmit. In fact, they all end with padsmit, which is podsmit, or some variant of that, which it's close, right? Like you have they have dsmi and t all in these words, but the pronunciation isn't close enough for me to categorize it with any of the other ones, so I gave it its own category. Where did I put Lithuanian? I don't even remember. I put Lithuanian in here somewhere, right? I don't know. But yeah, and then here we have the suffix of desmet as part of the word for 20. So, interesting. Hold on, wait, did I put... Okay, Lithuanian is part of it, okay. I was like, where is it? Many of the other Slavic languages, like Polish, Slovenian, Czech, and Serbo-Croatian. And when I say Serbo-Croatian, I mean Serbian, Bosnian, and Croatian, because for this specific purpose, right, like I gave the 4 examples, Serbian, Bosnian, and Croatian, for the numbers, at least for numbers 10 through 20, are the exact same. They are spelled the exact same. Maybe they're pronounced differently, but they are spelled the exact same, so I just grouped them all together as Serbo-Croatian. Don't get mad at me. But, yeah, anyways, they have something similar to the Eastern Slavic languages, but 20 does not have the same suffix as numbers 11 through 19. So, kind of similar to what we were seeing, above here, where you have, the number 10 isn't part of the suffix for numbers 11 through 19, and number 20 does not have that suffix. So, yeah, as you can see here, just to go with a more easy to pronounce example, we have deset, which I don't even know if I'm pronouncing right, but I can look at it and be like, I can read that. So we have deset, and then all these suffixes end with, NACT, maybe T? No, it's just NACT. And then we have 20, which is dvaset, which is like a whole different thing, right? Or dvacet? I don't know. Like I said, I don't speak these languages. And then, same exact thing here for the Serbian, Bosnian, and Croatian. Same exact thing. With a notable thing of, I guess I probably could have put that in here. Yeah, I mean, I guess I can put that in here, because it does include that number in its entirety. So I'm going to actually move this up here. And this is, so I'll put an and here. Get rid of this and. Almost the exact same, except 10 is very similar to the 11 to 19. In this case, it's not really very similar, but it does have the deset. Yeah, it's similar-ish. And 20 has 10 as a suffix in its entirety. Yeah, I think that's fair enough. Because it does. It's dva deset. It's just deset with dva in front of it. Very similar to how it works in Latvian, where it's dvi desmet. Pretty similar deal. Bulgarian. I don't know what they were thinking. They just wanted to throw a wild card. It's the exact same deal as Serbo-Croatian, except for whatever reason, 19 has a different suffix than any of the other numbers. So we have deset, edina deset, or whatever you pronounce it, edinatset, maybe? Edinatset probably is probably more accurate than edina deset. And then, for whatever reason, right, all of these end with deset, and this one is just devetnias set? Like, what? Why, I don't know why for 19 they were like, nah, we're not going to do deset, we're just going to have a N-A-I with a thing above it, S-E-T. Like, what? But yeah, that's how they decided to do it. Weird. Alright then. I think I'm going to get rid of the, very similar. There we go. Anyways, many of the other Slavic languages, like Polish, Slovenian, and Czech. Oh, I already read that. Hold on. Excuse me. So yeah, here we have Lithuanian, Finnish, Estonian, and Maltese. Lithuanian has basically the same attributes as the other Slavic languages, which is like right here, right? It has the same attributes. But just like Latvian, 20 has 10 as its suffix. Finnish. Well, hold on, wait a minute. I guess this should go into it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to group these together. Latvian, Lithuanian, and Serbo-Croatian. So I grouped up Latvian, Lithuanian, and Serbo-Croatian all together because they have basically the same idea, where 10 is part of the suffix in its entirety. So, yeah, I don't know. I think that's similar enough that it deserves its own recognition. So, yeah, right here we have Lithuanian was included right here, I believe. That's distinct. I'm pretty sure. Hold on, let me double check. Yeah, I was. Okay, so, yeah. Anyways, moving down, we have Finnish, Estonian, and Maltese are similar, but the number 20 suffix isn't 10, though it's very similar. So instead of it being, like, not the exact same thing, it is, relatively similar. So we have this kumenin or whatever, and then all of these end with oista, not even remotely close to kumenin. But sure, whatever, right? And then you end up with 20, which is kasikumenta, right? So not the exact same, but very similar. Same here. We have this, whatever this is supposed to be, kuma, and then they all end with iced. and then you have here, which is almost, it almost ends with the suffix of kuma, but it doesn't, as kaksumend with nd at the end, or kakskumend. I don't know how to pronounce that. Like I said, I don't know these languages. And then, I don't know, I'm not even going to try to pronounce these words, but the point is that they have AX all as suffixes, right? All of this from 11 to 19 all have AX as a suffix. And which is funny because these Maltese isn't even remotely close to any Slavic language speakers, so maybe they just thought of this as its own. Maybe it's a thing that exists in like Arabic, because there is some Arabic tones in, like, it's Maltese is mostly based off of Arabic with a lot of influence from like Italian and whatnot. Italian and English, I think. But the point is that they all end with AX, and the word for 10 has AX in it, but the word for 20 is completely different from, the AX prefix, but it's relatively similar. It has, some of the same letters for 10, but it's basically, it's completely different and unrecognizable. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. So, moving on to Basque, somewhat similar, but for whatever reason, 18 and 19 have different, though similar prefixes. So right here we have Hamar, or however you pronounce it. We have Hamar, and then all of these words from, 11 to 17, they all start with Hama. So we have Hamaika, Hamabi, Hamahiru. I'm butchering this to hell, but I don't speak Basque, so don't come at me. And then, for whatever reason, number 18 and 19, instead of starting with Hama, they start with Heme, which is weird. I don't know why they went with H-E-M-E, right? I don't know why they went with that. But, yeah, it's almost, like I said, almost the exact same thing. But most of 10 is contained within the teen suffix prefix, like I said. It's Hamar, right? And Hama. Like, if it was Hamarika or Hamarbi or Hamarhiru, then it would, like, be up here. But because it's Hama as the prefix, and Hamar is the word 10, that's why I gave it its own category. And obviously, like, Hogai or Hogay or whatever, this is just its own word, not even remotely close to 10 in any capacity. Doesn't have the prefix, doesn't look like the word 10. It's just a completely own different word. And last but not least, although technically not a European language, Esperanto is probably the most similar to Romanian in terms of its attributes. Similar to Romanian, the numbers are just simply 10 and the number, and just like Romanian, 20 is just a compound word that has 10 as its suffix. But unlike Romanian, the 10 comes first, and is confusingly 2 words instead of 1. I only gave it its own category. It's pretty much the same as Romanian in terms of its attributes. I only gave it its own category down here because it is not a European language. It is not natively spoken in Europe. So it didn't make sense for me to, put it in the same category as Romanian. But yeah, as you can see, we have Dec Unu, right? Dec Unu is 11. It's just 10, 1. Dec Du, Dec Tri, Dec Kvar, all the way up to Dec Now, and it's just all 10 and then the word, or the number, and that's it. And then when you get on to Dudek, which is 20, it's just Dec with Du in front of it, meaning it's 2 tens, I'm assuming. I'm not even exactly sure. Yeah, I mean, it is 2 tens, because Du is 2, so it's just 210. So yeah, very interesting, all of these. And then once again, if you compare it to Romanian, which we have right here, all of these just have the Z-E-C-E, and it's all at the end, it's all a suffix, and it's just from all of them from 10 to 20, yeah, it's, although interestingly enough, all of these have prezeche, right? Or prezese, however you pronounce it. Which is, kind of different, but the point is that, like, the word 10 in its entirety is part of that number. So it's not quite the same as Esperanto, where it's literally just, you know, the number and the letter, because we have this like, I don't even know, it's not really a suffix or a prefix, so it's just like I don't really know what it's supposed to be, but it's just part of this word, this, you know, you have to say, uns presece, you know, it's not just un zece, which would be a little bit easier, but yeah. Anyways, I hope that was a very interesting thing for all of you guys to learn. It took me forever to do, well, not forever, it took me a couple hours to do research on, it's not really a couple hours, it's like an hour and a half to gather all of this stuff together. I had to go into Google Translate, type all of this stuff in, and copy and paste it, and I had to, like, sorry, excuse me. I had to analyze all of these words and see what kind of groups that they fit into, because I feel like the groups are relatively well organized. Now, if you have examples of languages that aren't, so in two things. Either A, if you have examples of languages where one of these things apply and it's not one of the languages in here, very likely because it's not on Google Translate, for like example, Ruthenian or like Kashubian, Silesian, any of those languages that aren't on Google Translate. If you happen to know what those numbers are from 10 to 20, and you're like, hey, it fits this pattern, let me know, that'd be dope. Also, if any of these numbers are incorrect because Google Translate said them wrong, and you just happen to know the languages and you look at it and like, that's wrong, also do let me know. I would like to make sure that all of the words are correct. But like I said, I don't speak all of these languages, so I just took it from Google Translate. But as far as I'm concerned, all of these numbers and words are correct until I have any reason to believe otherwise, and thus they all fit into the categories they do. I will put I think I'll put some of this text in the description. I don't know if I'm going to put all of it, but if you liked this video, thought it was interesting, and you appreciate the work and effort that I put into creating this list for you to analyze all of the European languages, or at least a lot of the European languages, leave a like, and if you want to see more, let me know. I would say subscribe, but I don't think I'm going to be doing content really like this anytime soon. This isn't typical content for Surge Media, but you know, if you want to see more, then I'll make more. If I don't really know where I would go with this series, to be honest. I just kind of did a one-off thing, but I don't know. Anyways, take it easy, and I'll see you guys. Why am I yawning in the outro? I'm tired, but not tired at the same time. I'll see you guys in the next video. Check out my TikTok. If you're interested in gaming content, I have my TikTok where I upload mostly game clips. I might upload previews of either already existing videos or previews of like music stuff. But it is all Surge Media content. Check it out if you are into that kind of stuff. And I will see you, hopefully, in a different video. Who knows? Bye-bye for now.